We'll forgive you this time.
Just do a little chat.
So new trends, I get vegan.
Yes, vegan.
Okay, with like McDonald's getting into it now, and
Burger King.
Burger King has a Rebel Burger. Well, Burger King McDonald's just announced it.
Yeah, and what else? Do you want to go?
You were talking about the spices.
So you can do like how pumpkin spice has been big in America, but people here are now looking for it. Bagel seasoning.
I'd marry that if I only could. Stoking coals soothes my soul. I love my barbecue. Understand, I'm just a man with a pork fat baby back to lose.
Gdayall, and welcome to episode 10. We have made it to double digits. Last week we promoted a show on pickles. As my husband would say in rhyming slang, Don Rickles. But unfortunately, our guest is unavailable this week. But don't worry, that show will be coming up in the future. So this week we are...
Potpourri. So Potpourri is a tribute, in my mind, to Alex Trebek. Because on Jeopardy, part of the show that I enjoyed the most on the questions is Potpourri. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, I loved it. And we miss the late Mr. Trebek. He was such a part of so many people's lives, and it's nice that we can do a little nod to him today. And potpourri also is a word from the 17th century. It's our fun fact of the day, and it is denoting a stew made of different kinds of meat. I think it was fowl meat from the French, literally rotten pot.
So that's probably why they came up with potpourri, with the nice smelling flowers that all mix together to get rid of the smell from the rotten meat.
That's exactly right. And who would think that a pot of rotten meat would be the biggest housing sort of trend of the 80s, where we all had potpourri pots everywhere all over our house.
Yeah. And macrame. I'm not even drinking yet.
We should actually do this with Bloody Marys. We were really letting the team down.
Yes.
So now it is time to get to our mixed and hopefully very interesting content of the day. The first thing we want to talk about is new trends.
Yep, new trends. So I'll start it off.
Okay.
Well, new trend, which is an old trend, is cast iron skillets.
Yes. What is old is new again, and quite trendy.
Yeah, everybody wants a cast iron skillet. I don't know if they want to hit people with it, bang nails into the pavement, but it is a ideal thing to cook with, especially at high temperature, because it is indestructible. And people got rid of them because what? Teflon came along?
Teflon came in. And then people were doing the whole no fat, everything is bad for you, sort of 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
And now they're a good, or they were before they got trendier again, sort of like op shop find.
Mm-hmm.
I have my great grandmother's. I've got a big one, and I've got like a single one that you make some fried eggs in. And it's also environmentally better. Because they do last forever. And the crust you can get on a steak or a hamburger from that high heat that you can get it to is amazing.
You can't do that with Teflon, and we all got sucked into Teflon, right? All the advertisements, you get throw the eggs on it. Oh, look, it just flies out the air until you get it home, right?
That's right. Yeah. And about 2 months later, you're going, I have a very expensive set. And over the years, it started peeling, and
it gets black, and then you can't use metal utensils in it. Yeah.
It's not even the new time stuff that they say you can use metal. Don't use metal.
Don't use metal.
I've made that mistake, but you can't do anything to a Teflon or a cast iron pan.
Yeah,
and I think we can now sort of I think it's the hipsters that might have brought that back to us, where they've gone the trendy, hard way of doing things.
Yeah, it took a while to get here because I got bought into cast iron probably, I bought these ones 10 years ago back in the States, and I brought them back. So the trend took over there earlier on and then caught up over here now. But it is the proper, if you want to do a steak properly, that's the way to do it.
Well, I think you were talking about, when we were having a little chat earlier, we were talking about some very exy steaks that you got.
Yeah, I went to the fellow who makes our bacon and our hot dogs, Peter Brochure. I went over there and walked into his thing, and he had two wagogi.
Wagyu.
What do I say, wagogi? I don't know. Maybe
because you think of beef bulgogi.
I don't know when that class action lawsuit against the New York Board of Education is coming about to get me to speak right. But I gotta.
There might be a statute of limitations on that one.
I don't know. It's a lifelong agony.
That's all right. I'm here to help.
Yeah. So anyway, we're getting into the wagyus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those steaks there. So he said, I got two of them here. Nice sized steaks here, probably just enough for one person each one. Is what they weren't oversized, and from a very reputable grower. Yeah, Blackwoods, I believe they are, and in Victoria here, and they're world class. They're graded as a 10. And if you go to like Costco, the Wagyu steaks over there are probably about a 4 or a 5. Okay, and it all comes down to the marbling, and these ones were basically pink.
Oh, yum.
Yeah. So I spent a fortune for these two steaks, and I did not want to ruin them. So I panicked. I've gone on the internet, and all the things that I read, the proper way to make it, and I do a lot of my steaks this way now, is to get that cast iron skillet, get it where it's smoking hot, okay? Season your meat, put it in there about 1.5 to 2 minutes on the first side.
Yep.
Turn it over about 1.5 minutes on the second side. Take it off the top of the range. Put it into a very hot oven for 5 minutes. And if you want to get fancy, you throw a little bit of butter on it when you're doing that, and then you baste it halfway through that 5 minutes. Take it out, let it rest. Perfect.
Oh, that sounds great. And then with a seasoned pan, it's not going to stick.
No,
you can pick it up. Sticks. The crust will stay on the steak, not the pan.
Yeah. And the other thing to do with it, like when we were talking last week about, with the lockdown and everybody baking. So I was doing a lot of pizzas too.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I was doing it in the cast iron skillet and baking them that way.
Were you doing deep dish or just regular pizza?
Like a deep dish. Yeah. But it's, again, the crust, because a lot of times you put your dough into the oven, and it's whatever reason the bottom never cooks hot. So this way, what I was doing is getting the cast iron skillet, putting it onto the stovetop, letting it get hot, put the dough in there, and it's already starting to cook, and then throw it into the oven.
I will have to give that a go.
Yeah.
Now, I think probably what I'm seeing as a new trend that I'm enjoying, because I like some of the stuff that's coming here, is we get people wanting bagel seasoning, and we actually are now making bagel seasoning. But Phil, I think we might have talked about it before. He sort of has experience with bagels himself and how this came to be.
Yeah, well, I did bagels as a kid, worked at Benson Bagel Bakery, and as we took the name from it, and we call it Benson Bagel Blend, we were probably at the forefront of selling bagels in New York. We were probably the most popular bagel in Brooklyn. Okay, and only down the block from the original Sbarro's, which was totally different than what you see at the malls. Yeah. So my own blend of it, because when I used to make bagels for myself to bring home, I like sesame, I like the onion, I like the garlic, I like a little bit of the rock salt that was in it that we used, but I didn't like poppies.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did everything mixed together, which nobody was doing, because we just made, plain bagels, salted bagels, poppy, onion, sesame, garlic. That was about it, pumpernickel and egg bagels, right? So I made my own little everything bagel at the time, X the poppy seeds, So now we're using the same thing and using the poppy seeds with it. And then, of course, I can't just be satisfied with one. Then I had to do Hell's Kitchen, nothing to do with Gordon Ramsay, Hell's Kitchen, New York. Okay, named it after that. And so we have a hot blend too, because a lot of people just like a hot, spicy seasoning.
Well, and I think people are using it because they're cutting back on some stuff and they want flavor.
Yep.
So I have done, in the meantime, I do all of my roast potatoes and roast veggies. I stick it in there. I put it on top of salads. Mm-hmm. And there's a trend, sort of a social media trend, where people are doing it with, you get a piece of bell pepper or capsicum, as we say, spread some cream cheese, and then put the bagel seasoning on it.
Ooh.
And that's fantastic. And you get that kick. And also another seasoning is pumpkin pumpkin spice or pumpkin pie spice.
Yep.
That has always been big at home. Last 10 years, it's become a trend where you can get basically pumpkin spice toilet paper if you want it. But now...
That's like potpourri. Yeah,
that's exactly right. So now people are wanting it here as like a holiday taste. So, we have coffee places here that are offering it. And, we have versions of it here for people. But I think people are trying to explore... We're trying to make each other happy at the moment, I think, because it's been a bit of a rough year for everyone. So if you're at home and you have those comforts of nutmeg and cinnamon and those sort of things.
It's just that Christmas-me smell,
That's right.
You got to have that.
And it usually brings back some really good memories.
Yes.
Before you get to the drunk uncle or the aunt, they only gave you underwear every year. Had one of those. So what other trends have you seen?
Oh, well, you have the... Here I go again. The vegan trend.
That would be vegan?
Vegan.
The
See,
vegan trend.
vegan.
That's okay.
As I said once before, I pronounce my E's like an A. It has to do with the growing up with a lot of Puerto Ricans and
yeah,
stuff.
I think of excuses.
Yeah. So the vegan trend and vegan. Enough. Right. So anyway, that trend is like, I go on to like different websites, and one of the websites is the non-eating.
No plant. No, it's all plant-based.
Plant-based.
No animal
and these
products.
people are like coming up and saying, "Oh, have you tried eggplant?" Like, come on, where have you been? We've been eating eggplant parmesan. We never call it vegan or vegan or whatever you want to call it. We've just been eating it all the time, or carbonate.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we used to eat that out of a can. I used to have that for lunch like every day. Get the little Progresso when you open it up, and that was just so good.
Or it's just hummus. Hummus, every vegan. Yeah. I have a vegan daughter, so I can speak with some knowledge. That has been around for, I think that's an ancient food.
It is.
But it's nice that it's there for them as well. And people do ask, I think people are more aware of being lactose intolerant. A lot of it is ethic, but some people I can't have dairy. So if I have a vegan product, I should be safe. Mm-hmm. I can't have whatever. So that covers a few groups.
Yeah. Well, I covered that just yesterday because we're going to a Christmas dinner, from where we live on the group. And they asked if anybody has any intolerances. So I quickly responded. I said, I'm intolerant to non-alcoholic beverages. So I just wanted to make that clear.
I'm intolerant to most. That's it. That is shocking. Now, we kind of touched on this a little bit because we were talking about the trends. So websites, food websites, what do you look at? Well,
the websites are probably the most, I get a lot of them that I subscribe to, so they just keep on coming at me. There's barbecue ones and things like that.
Taste of Home.
Taste of Home. That's what I was going to mention. Taste of Home is one of my favorite, and you turned me on to New York Times one.
Yes, that is great. So, and that group, it's a Facebook group, and then also you can join it.
They got recipes and things there. But Taste of Home, what's nice about it, once you subscribe to it, they just keep on sending you all sorts of recipes, I think like twice a week, and they categorize them like grandma's recipe, down south recipe. And they'll have a whole bunch of them. And as you open up, they just get more and more. They multiply. And the other nice thing, if you go into their website, you could type in what you want to make, and it'll come up with 12 different recipes for the same.
I really like that. And it's not just the fancy trendy new stuff. It's like, corn casserole or, stuff that you remember. It's like, I haven't had that since I was a little kid. My grandmother made that, and you remember that. And it's real cooked. So it'd be like you and I putting, it's our recipes.
It's people that enter their recipes into them. They send them their recipes and then they publish them.
And people are pretty honest with their, like if they have a review under and say, no, you add a little bit of this or a pinch of that.
Yeah.
I kind of where I used to have more, I'm now onto Pinterest has sort of done that for me. So it's almost like a scrapbook.
Yeah.
So you just put something in and it has all these people's sort of recipes.
Speaking of scrapbook, I did get a peek last week of your Thanksgiving scrapbook.
Yeah, my Bible.
Yeah.
I have full side. It's a folder and it has all the magic in it, and the children will fight each other over it when I go.
You really think so?
They both said so.
Just to make you feel good.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, so I have all my bits and pieces in there. I also, so with Pinterest, I can grab 20 different recipes for, whatever.
Well, the nice thing about the recipes is I look at recipes as not so much of like, okay, I'm going to go exactly to the recipe. I look at it as what do I need to make it?
It's a base.
The base. Yeah. Okay. What is ingredients in it? Cooking times, maybe the spices and the herbs. Or how do the Australian? We say herbs and they say herbs.
And so does Martha Stewart.
Herbs.
Martha. She's a little bit pretentious. God bless Martha.
Yeah. Even more so since she got out of prison, right?
But she's hanging with Snoop, so she's like,
you want to go back
with the people. Yes, they give you a nice base to begin with, and you can then sort of move on to what you really kind of want to go for.
Okay. And we're just talking about Martha Stewart. Who's your favorite, or who was the most influenced TV chef that you had in your lifetime?
Honestly, Julia Child. I was a freaky little weird kid.
Yeah.
And I used to watch her on PBS every time I could. And I loved how she would cook and she'd be messy and she'd just throw stuff over the, like, I just imagine little elves behind her, sweeping up behind her.
Yeah.
But she would make mistakes. Like she would drop an omelet and she'd put it back in the pan and she'd go, well, no one saw that. You don't need to tell anyone. And she would also say, okay, so we're going to do some pastry today. I want you to know that you can't do it first off. You're going to need to spend a day and you're going to use lots of butter and lots of flour and you might waste it all, but you will learn from what you're doing. So I have always loved her. And her favorite, the quote I like to live by is everything is better with butter.
Exactly. And butter and bacon. The two B's.
Yes. And she just had such a love for what she did. I think she was like kind of my adopted grandma. And then as I got older, Nigella Lawson, because I think both Julia Child and Nigella Lawson were not chefs in trade. They had a love for food, and Nigella was a food critic. And so she cooks, and so it's more attainable to me than having a perfect, like if you watch Gordon Ramsay or your favorite Curtis Stone.
Don't get me started on Curtis Stone.
Everything chopped up perfectly. Like, that's nice, but I'm more of a rustic.
Talk about my pronunciation, Curtis Stone. We're after fruit and veg. The freak did he grow up?
Oh, Philip. Now, what about you? What are your favorites?
Well, probably my first TV chef that I watched, Graham Kerr. The Galloping Gourmet.
Oh, he was. I remember him.
Maybe because my mother being Australian and he's an Aussie, and watching him, and my mother liked him.
His cravat. He had a cravat before Matt.
Yeah. So he was like my first influence, and then the other after him that I started watching and still have all their cookbooks in here. I think he went to jail for being a pedophile.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
What is
the Frugal Gourmet?
The Frugal Gourmet. Yes,
he was a minister as well.
Yeah.
But great recipes.
Great recipes. He has this little side guy that was with him that goes on the show. But he got into a lot of the history of the foods, especially like Asian foods. And, I never knew that chow means to chop.
Oh,
so that's why everything was done because, you don't have a knife and fork, and so everything is pre-chopped. So it's chowed.
So it's easy to eat. So that, and then one of his favorite recipes, that my son absolutely adores is a lamb recipe made with ouzo. Not ouzo the alcohol, orzo. Thank you. The little looks like rice, but it's pasta. Yeah.
And done with dill. And it is just a slow cook recipe and just fabulous.
That would be lovely because they had different seasonings that are used. And I think we've kind of lost some of that when we've moved.
Yeah.
Because depending on what part of the US, there's different season. Like there's a lot of dill used, and especially I think sort of New England, East Coasty, sort of, that has anything with seafoody things in it as well. And there's not a whole lot of dill used here. I find in recipes here.
And dill's a nice spice. I mean, with salmon, you need dill.
My mother uses the best scrambled eggs with tarragon.
Oh,
she just puts a little bit in.
But tarragon's like an oregano, right?
Well, no, it's a little bit kind of aniseedy, maybe. It has its own taste. I will bring some in, but it's sort of a French herb.
Yep.
So my girlfriend, we used to do breakfast together, and she goes, "Oh, Barbara puts the herby things in it." So I think with that, we've learned a lot from some of our favorites.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Marco Pierre White, who I adore. Like, I do love him. But he talked about his mother teaching him how to cook pasta sauce, and he puts a knob of butter in it.
Yep.
And so I now always do that as well.
Yeah, so I was just thinking the same thought of what you pick up for little things. And that was one of them. And it wasn't from Marco. It was from an Italian chef in New York, and he probably stole it from Marco. And he said, don't tell my grandmother, okay, that I put a knob of butter into my pasta sauce. And I've done that ever since then. It smooths it out, takes away some of the bitterness and some of the acidity. It is the right way to go. And people put sugar in there. I have never, my aunts, my grandmother, we're all Sicilian, and I never seen them put sugar in.
No, I've never done either.
No, they didn't even put sugar in their coffee. They only put alcohol in it,
I like them.
Yes.
Well, actually, our guest the other week, Dave Turpin, I remember watching him make some sauce for pizzas, and he put a whole carrot in it, and you throw it away later, but evidently takes some of that the acid or the bitterness away. So there's some cooking tips that have.
Yeah. And the other cooking, speaking of pizza,
yeah,
when you're making a pizza sauce, and if you want it to be more authentic of a New York one, so after you put your sauce down, your cheese and all that, and you sprinkle some fresh oregano or oregano.
No, it's oregano.
I know. And you sprinkle some oregano, because the oregano is what takes it to that next level and make it more of a New York pizza.
I will do that. Yeah. Now, I want to see, because we both, well, actually, your wife, Jeanette, and myself, and I think we've made you join the group. We've got a thing for kitchen appliances.
Yes. Oh, my wife.
This is not a Rodney Dangerfield thing, so just stop.
Okay. No, but she buys things, and I say, it's like, a peeler for taking the tops off of strawberries, or something to, take an avocado and slice it. I said, you know what that's called? A knife.
But that's not as fun, Phil. You've got to understand.
So we have a drawer full of stuff, like everybody does. You always have one of these drawers that have everything in it. And then when you need it, you can't find it.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a cherry pitter. I had to buy a new one, and then I found the cherry pitter the same day I came home with that one.
But electrical. What's your favorite electrical appliance that you use all the time?
Actually, pressure cooker would be my most frequent. I have a Thermomix. I am part of the cult. But I use that more for chopping and things. It's now like a sous chef for me. But I love my Instant Pot. So it's pressure cooker, and it does rice, and you can use it as slow cooker as well. But I like the ability to get the flavor of something that would take 12 hours in, 2? And
not wash it out. Not wash the flavor out.
No, that's exactly right. It's just, and things are bright. Like when you open it up, the flavor is magnificent.
Yeah, as long as you just got to adjust to what you're making and how long you do it in the pressure cooker. Because we use this, Jeanette bought the Ninja.
Yes.
Okay, and that's like an everything. It's a convection oven or air fryer. We use that for whatever we make. That's the most used appliance in our house now. It also is a slow cooker and a pressure cooker and a saute. It has 2 different tops on it. It does everything. It sits on the counter, and that's the most used. She also has the Thermomix that's in the closet collecting dust. Okay, and probably the other most useless things that we have bought in the past that just sits around. Use them for about 2 days. Remember all those slicers and dices?
Spiralizers.
The spiralizer. Well, she used that quite a bit. Now she's off that trend. But she used to make this really nice zucchini salad with the spiralizer. And the other thing was, like you had the electric ones and the handle ones. And, where you put the carrots like this, again, on TV. Just chops everything. Yeah, right. Again, get the knife out. The time you do it by hand and take your time and don't cut your fingers off, okay, and learn how to chop properly. And the whole thing is, buy a good knife. Make sure it's always sharp, because let the knife do the working, not your fingers, okay? It's so much easier than to take this thing, take it out of the closet, set it up, put the thing in for 2 seconds, do 1 tomato or 1 carrot into it, and then spend a half hour to try to clean it.
Yeah, no. I don't want lots of cleaning with anything. Air frying. My daughter, who is a vegan, she the air fryer is life to her because she can do crunchy tofu. She can do all her vegetables and, have that crunch. So it's not, because often I think people fall back to like, I'll just make a curry or a stewy thing. So she had lots of crunch. And then occasionally, like, it's really good for fries.
Yep.
Like, it's the first time I don't like oven fries. Like, I'll go buy fries,
right?
But I don't keep them in the freezer. But with the air fryer, I can get something pretty close.
I find that the fried sweet potatoes that you buy in the store already prepackaged, it's sort of like potato fries.
Yeah.
They come out fantastic in the air fryer. And you feel good about them because you're eating a sweet potato, which is really healthy for you, even though it probably has some oil. Well, it does have oil on it, but not that much. It's like a spray thing that they put on.
That's actually good with bagel seasons. You go back to with the everything bagels. That goes through as well.
Well, I eat mine. I do either one or two ways. I'll mix mayonnaise with horseradish, make like a horsey sauce, and with the sweet potatoes, or using I think it's kiwi or something like that, which is Japanese mayonnaise.
Kiwi mayonnaise.
But they have the kiwi mayonnaise with
wasabi.
Wasabi.
Yeah.
And that on the sweet potatoes.
I'm going to the store on the way home because I think that's it. I think we've covered quite a few things that we love, and we could go on forever. But
one more thing.
Yes.
Outside the box.
Yes.
The most adventurous thing at the time that you had that now is like almost a staple or something like that. Or they said I would never try and then tried it and then fell in love with it.
Well, okay, this might be simple, and this might not be what you were thinking.
Simple's good.
Okay, let's go back to 1986.
Way back.
I'm an exchange student.
Yeah.
I am offered a tray of prawns with their eyeballs on them and their legs and everything else. I'm like,
it looks like a cockroach.
What is this monster that you have given me?
Yeah.
And then I had to learn to rip its head off, take the legs off.
Too much work.
And it was so much work. But I was just like, what did they just serve the whole animal here? I don't know. Or anything with eyes on it.
Yeah.
Well, to me.
In America, it's in a lot of states, it's against the law to bring the prawns in or the shrimp with the heads on. For that reason, because of the monster effect.
Well,
it's like an old law.
But you know what? Now, so this is, I'd never try. Yeah. If you give me a deep fried prawn head, oh my God, that is fantastic.
Well, the first time I had that was at a Japanese restaurant.
Yeah, and that is amazing. But I think I've always been adventurous. I like liver. Oh, kidney pie. Don't like that. No. I tried it.
Liver I like. I like liver. Yeah, kidney does taste like pee.
It does. It does. And it was a really awful cook who gave it to me that first time. And I was like, no, I'm judging it. I'm judging it. But what about you?
Probably I'll go back to the 70s.
Okay, further.
Okay, this is way back. Okay. I was working in Lower Manhattan. All right. And down the block from us on Rector Street, we used to work at number 1 Wall Street, right at the corner of Broadway and Wall. And down the block on Rector Street was a Japanese restaurant. There were no Japanese restaurants at the time.
Yeah, that would be.
Right. So we decided, let's go there for lunch because we worked from 4 to midnight. Right. So lunch was like dinner. And going there, having raw fish for the first time.
That would have been.
It was
brave.
Like way outside the box. And it was so good. And I don't know if it was just because I was young and your body absorbs more and whatever, that you get a different sensation. But at the time, I remember going there and coming out after eating sushi and feeling like you had a different type of high. Okay. Which you don't get anymore. Or maybe I'm just immune to it now. So, and then I had to go get my 2 favorite eating buddies, Leo and Mary Jane, which everybody hears about all the time now, and introduce them to sushi. And they just got blown away.
It is something that the first time you taste it, there is nothing like. I was lucky enough to grow up in a town with a large Japanese population. So we would have. I kind of grew up with the Japanese food and had that quite early. And it is mind blowing when you have something that's so different and then so beautiful, and it's buttery, and when you eat it, it's magnificent.
And then in California, when we moved to California, of course, then you go to advanced sushi.
Yes. Well, see, now let me just say, Southern California, it's a whole different species of sushi. They have to do everything fancier.
Well, fancier, or it's more
experimental.
Experimental.
Yeah.
I mean, California roll, right? So, but over there, and then I got involved with having sea urchin. uni,
Oh, yeah.
and then sea urchin with quail eggs. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's wrap that section up. Let's go on to our favorite section, Nat Nosh. So before we get into Nat Nosh, our secret code word is potpourri. Now, don't worry about the spelling, just as long as it's phonetically correct. And how do we spell phonetically? That's with an F, right?
Oh, God, help us all.
Okay.
Right. So today, Wednesday, November 18. It's Vichy Soir Day.
The vichyssoise. How French could you get? Like cold, what is this? Cold potato soup,
Cold
right?
potato soup. Now, we have discussed Vichy Soir before, but that was cold soup day.
Yes.
But I think we didn't cover the other cold soup,
My favorite cold soup is gazpacho.
gazpacho.
Gazpacho. Hey.
Hey,
Say like Italian. Yeah?
I like when you go to a wedding or an engagement and they've got the little
Ooh,
shot
yeah.
glasses with the gazpacho in it.
And then probably put some vodka in it too.
Well, that's always a way to improve everything.
Yes.
And
then it becomes a Bloody Mary.
I was going to say it's just a herby Bloody Mary, but there is no bad Bloody Mary. I can tell you that. And we also have National Apple Cider Day.
Yeah, because this is the time of year in America or North America or even in Europe, that the apples are in full harvest and everybody's pressing their apples.
Yeah.
And of course, they get real nice, cloudy apple cider.
It's beautiful.
It's so good.
And
Hot or cold?
my part of California, near, about a hour away, we have Apple Hill. And that has everything. So there's apple farms and you get your apple. Now, my mom and my stepdad and my dad and my stepmom, it's a very modern Californian family. The four of them would go to Apple Hill every year. And there's one place that they would get their apple donuts. There's one place they get their ice cream and another place that they get whatever. And they just nosh around.
And the apple
Hill.
fritters. And
Oh, yes. And here, I suppose the apple cider people think of here is like hard apple cider. So, the alcohol.
But if you go, but there is plenty of fresh apple cider. And if you travel up to the Bendigo area, very famous for their apples up that way.
Well,
Right before Bendigo.
We have to think about in our fall and kind of plan ahead and do that.
Now, tomorrow, on Thursday, is National Carbonated Beverage Day with caffeine. Now,
Did they not want to offend anyone in the room? They had to get all the words into
well, see, maybe it was an Australian that came up with that day, because here in Australia, if you bring in a grape soda, say, and if it has caffeine in it, that's a no-no, because it's not a Coke-based product and it doesn't have cola in it. Yeah, so they used to break chops on bringing in Dr. Pepper until they realized that, maybe there is cola in Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I remember that with, different sodas. But I was thinking, soda pop or soda, that came from pharmacists making it. So that's why Coke had its special ingredient in the old days before caffeine.
Yep.
But so maybe that is why caffeine's sort of one of those ingredients that goes with Coke or Pepsi or all the other ones. But remember, my favorite is when they started putting some coffee in it, like Coke Black.
Oh, that was so good. I don't know why that ever stopped. I think it was ahead of its time because it was before the big coffee culture.
That's right.
Came about, and they produced this, and it was like an espresso with Coke in it. And it was just so good.
It was fantastic. And the original, because Manhattan Soda.
Yeah, Manhattan Special. Yeah, it's still family owned. The great-granddaughter, I think, runs the business now, produced in the U.S., in New York. And I think they started at 18-something. And the two oldest beverage companies still family-owned is them and White Rock. Both family-owned, still forever and ever.
I love the Manhattan sodas. And they have, the diet and the regular, but really, I just want the whole thing if I want it.
And it's really good putting a scoop of ice cream into it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well, let's not talk about like here. They kind of do, and at home, the energy drinks have become big. So maybe that's why they're trying to put that in. But I would much rather have a coffee based, natural caffeine soda in it.
Yeah. Not with the guanas in it or whatever they put in it.
I think that's guarana, but yes. Bite
you in the ass either way. Yeah.
And give you a headache later.
Yeah.
So Friday is National Peanut Butter Fudge Day. I love peanut butter fudge. I love peanut butter.
And fudge and chocolate.
And it's got the whole thing.
It's everything. Just need that coffee to go with it.
And, it's sort of timely because you usually this time of year you start getting some gift baskets.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of peanut butter fudge, and there might be that little bit of fruitcake that gets passed around to all the relatives.
But some fudges are not so fudgy; they're too sugary.
Yeah, because you can cut. You want them to sort of ooze a bit when you cut into them, rather than just chop it.
Yeah, and that's how you tell a good fudge from a bad fudge.
It's hard to find a bad fudge, but I get where you're going with that one. And National Gingerbread Cookie Day
on Saturday.
That is true.
And so gingerbread cookies, I don't know if I'm a big fan, but everybody likes gingerbread because, again, the time of the year, you make it gingerbread houses and you
makes you feel
gingery. Yeah.
I have a very strange tradition at our house that came from my Aunt Agnes, who had, you know how you have these memories when you're a little kid?
Yep.
I go to her house. I go to the front door and hug everyone. I go straight into the corner of her kitchen living room thing. In the far cupboard by the back door, I'd open it up. There'd be a cookie tin, like an old Danish, the Danish butter cookie tins, a cookie tin, and there would be gingerbread cookies, and I would only eat the blue ones. She must have had blue, blue food coloring that year. It's not Christmassy.
Yeah.
So now every year when I make my gingerbread cookies,
they're blue.
They're blue.
That's not a natural food color.
No, that's all right. Maybe it's like a Hanukkah cookie too, because blue and white are the Hanukkah colors.
So you do it in a Star of David. Okay. But and speaking of cookie jars, my grandmother, and I don't know which one of my cousins has this cookie jar, but I'm sure it's around somewhere, was an old owl with glasses on and was quite big, probably a foot and a half high. And I remember that as a kid going into it, taking the head off and sticking your hand in and get some cookies.
See, I love memories like that.
Yeah. And it's also National Stuffing Day. Now, we talked about stuffing last week, so I don't think we have to go that far. And everybody loves stuffings.
Yeah, it is yummy no matter what you throw in it. Yeah. I do love it. So we can move on to Sunday, which is National Cranberry Relish Day.
That sounds good. So it's sort of like cranberry sauce with a little zing to it.
Yeah, so you put some citrus in that, maybe some
It'll go
peel.
good with cheese.
Oh, like a brie.
Yeah.
Like baked brie.
Or even a Stilton.
There's that. It's a nice when you have that tart and the sweet.
With the cream. A nice glass of wine.
We brought alcohol into it again.
How do we
I don't
keep
know.
on doing that? So Monday, brings us to National Cashew Day. Cashews are so good. They're so buttery and creamy.
They are beautiful. And we had some fantastic, and we still have some cocoa covered, but we've got Dove chocolate covered cashews.
Yes.
And I think I ate all of the salt ones that we had. That's why they're out of stock now.
Oh, but the ones that we had that were cocoa covered, everybody thought they were
bloomed
but it was from heat. But no, it wasn't. If you read the label, it's coated, sort of like a trifle or a truffle.
Truffle, that's right. Yes. And they're beautiful. National Cashew Day. And cashew butter is magnificent. And if you do gluten-free cooking, and you use like a cashew butter or a nut butter or nut flour, cashew is really good. Yeah. It makes it really close.
Yeah, we were bringing in one time. Nobody bought it, maybe because it was too far ahead of the time before everybody was.
We are ahead of the trend often.
Victoria made a Alfredo sauce using cashew butter.
That was really good.
Yes.
Again,
very rich.
With my vegan daughter. Yep. We bought that. And
nobody else did.
Sorry. Well, I did my best. Yeah. And I even served some to my husband and my youngest child and didn't tell him what it was. Yep. I don't do that often. And they all ate it like no one's business. And it's also National Espresso Day, not espresso.
Exactly right. Espresso. Yes, there's these two fellows on the internet that one's English and the other one's Italian, and they're partners. And they go through all of the expressions and how to pronunciate things properly, and one of them was on espresso because there's no X in espresso.
Yes, my favorite coffee shop back home had a big sign on it that said there is no X in espresso.
You might have an X sitting next to you, but there's no X in espresso.
That was Blackwater Cafe. Yeah. And National Eat a Cranberry Day.
You can't eat a straight cranberry. Yeah. You would puke it up. It is so bitter and tart.
That's psychotic.
It
needs to be dried, needs to be cooked down,
and it needs sugar.
It it is absolutely not edible, but okay, I don't know, maybe what state? Maine?
Yeah, well, actually, the state that grows the most amount of cranberries, and they even have a town called Cranberry, is, are you ready for this?
Tell me.
New Jersey.
Oh, a pocket full of surprises.
There you go.
Cranberries and Tony Soprano.
That'd be so big. And we
make
had
me
the
eat a
espresso too. Remember that scene from The Sopranos when they go in and they go into a special shop and all these hipsters are serving it, and the guy, what are they doing? This is our stuff, you know. They're making money off of us. We should get in on this.
Absolutely right.
And you have to have, to drink the espresso properly, you got to have the finger, the little pinky sticking out.
But do you need a pinky ring on that finger?
Yes, you should. There was the one with Joe Pesci on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Okay. Where he's trying out pinky rings. Okay. And he's looking in the mirror and he's has a little demi-tasse cup and he's drinking and he has his finger out with the pinky ring and looking to see if it works.
Oh, I love that. Now we have to finish up with that Tuesday to go back to my theme of things with eyes on it. National Sardines Day.
Good day for the cats.
I've only had sardines once where I liked it. And to sound like one of those pretentious people, when I was in Paris.
Excuse me?
When I went overseas, but they were like big sardines.
They're fresh.
Yeah, it was fresh.
Fresh sardines.
That's
the difference.
Right.
When you make fresh sardines, they are really fantastic.
That's exactly right. But the things in the cans.
Yeah. It's in a can.
I can't do it because it's looking at me.
And you got to eat the bones and all that.
I know. And I know I need my omega-3s and I need all that, but I just can't do it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, there it goes. That's another week done of national favorites.
Nat Nosh.
Nat Nosh.
We should just work out a trip around where you can just fit a few of the special weeks around in the U.S. next time you go back.
Yeah, that would be an idea.
You should organize that. So we are going to be back in a second and we'll talk about next week's show. So next week, our theme is going to be Thanksgiving. And you might be thinking, hang on, people, you did Thanksgiving the other week. But that was preparation. The Thanksgiving we're going to be talking about next week is our favorite memories.
Ooh, memories.
So we might throw in a bit of food in there and cooking and things, but, walking down the stairs or walking into the kitchen and smelling that turkey first thing in the morning.
Yep.
If you had a family that cooked it during the night, or, hearing the football in the background, or your drunk uncle, or, all of those things you might find, where did cousin Steve go? I don't know where he's gone to this week. So, those sort of heartwarming memories, and also what we've done coming over here and making new memories and traditions for our families here.
So if anybody out there in Radio Land,
to
speak, or podcast land, has any memories, please send them out to us at podcast@usafoods.com.au.
We would love to share it. I want to think next week's show, when the Today Show has their Thanksgiving show and Willard Scott used to sit there and drink his eggnog with 7 different types of booze in it and they chat about things. Let's just, what, you might hate Thanksgiving food, but it's the one time you sat there and pushed it around the plate for your mother.
Yes.
All those things. And we also have a little bit of housekeeping we should do before we go. If you want to come down and visit us at USA Foods, we're open. It's Monday through Thursday, 8 till 5. Friday night, we've got late trading till 8, and we're open on the weekends as well. You can click and collect, pick up things, or come down and grab that and have a shop around. We're at 73 Cochrane's Road, Moorabbin. And also, please send us any feedback on the podcast or ideas for shows at podcasts@usafood.com.au.
Okay, and that wraps it up for another week.
That is it. We need to get some steak and some Bloody Marys, I think, that's the way we're going.
Sounds like a deal. So we know where we're going after this. And I wish you all a good night or a good day or whatever time you're listening to this. We'll talk to you next week. And I'm signing off. And again, thanks to Brendan, our producer from fizzfarm.com.au.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
I've been told you don't grow old living life this way. Maybe so, but all I know's I'm living day to day. Once you find a love like mine, you know that love is true. Understand, I'm just a man with the pork fat baby back blues. Yeah, understand, I'm still your man with the pork fat baby back blues.